Your rightful worship, the Mayor of Southampton, His Excellency, Mr. Victor Emmanuel Smith, the Ghana High Commission to UK, other distinguished guests, members of the diaspora, and my fellow Ghanaians. First of all, I also want to thank the Ghana Diaspora Voice for the opportunity to be here. I think the opportunity to allow us to be able to connect our voices to the government of Ghana is a big privilege, and I treasure that very much. So thank you, GDV, and thank you, Mr. Africanus. We really appreciate that. I'm actually happy with eating before I have to speak. What I'm about to say here is my little contribution, a bit on the very broad basis, but it's my little contribution. Now, I want us to start by, I want you to picture two scenarios, just two big scenarios. Now, in one scenario, I want you to picture an articulated truck traveling at 100 miles per hour. And then I also want you to picture a small Mini Cooper traveling at 50 miles per hour, roughly. Except that they're on the same path, a single road, and they're facing each other on a headlong collision. Now that's scenario one. I want you to hold that in your mind. Then I also want you to think about scenario two, where you have another articulated truck traveling also at 100 miles per hour. But this time around, you have a Mini Cooper traveling at 50 miles per hour behind the articulated truck. I want you to tell me where there is likely to be the most dangerous collision. It's going to be in scenario one. That articulated truck is the globe. That is the world we live in, and Ghana lives in that world. That articulated truck is the way the world is moving. It's full of technology. That is the way, the direction the world is going to go. Technology is not going to slow down, and technology is not just computers. And I want us to picture this very, very, very carefully. That if we don't figure out what direction the world is going, and therefore decide either to follow it or to drive headlong to it, we know what can happen. If we decide to go in a different direction to the direction the world is going, we will have a headlong collision. That small Mini Coupe car you find in this example is Ghana. We cannot afford anymore to go in a different direction to where the globe is going. Things are getting faster, things are getting more integrated, things are getting more efficient. And it all boils down to nothing but technology. The critical thing I want us to carry home here, and if we don't carry anything away, I want us to carry this away home. If you take a look at your mobile phones you have a camera in there, which previously, about just 15 years ago, used to be a whole device by itself. You have a radio in there, which previously used to be a whole big box by itself. You have in there an email section, which used to be a whole computer by itself. In your mobile phones, you probably have text messages, which represents the Ghana Post. So the point I'm trying to make is that we have an era where technology is bringing everything together, where technology is making things work more efficient, where technology is making things work a lot faster. And so the point I want to drive home today is technology drives everything. See, it's technology that drives government. And I have to say that is why our government is struggling to use systems that were created in the 1950s to manage a population that has evolved because of technology, to manage a world or respond to a world that has evolved as a result of technology. The world is 50 years ahead. If we still use the systems that were created by Kwame Nkrumah to deal with the world as it is now, we're not getting anywhere. It's technology that drives government. It's technology that drives education, which is why When I go to Ghana and I talk to students, I say to them this. It's scary. I think it's really scary when you hear this. The amount of research data that comes out on a daily basis are in the millions. So I say to students in Ghana, when you come out of university for 5 days, if you spend 5 days out of uni, you've graduated and you come out, and you haven't gone back to update yourself in terms of knowledge which is available on the internet everywhere, everything you probably have learned before you came out of university has become obsolete. Because our colleagues in universities in Ghana do not have access to the Harvard journals, which is free on the internet. They don't have access to the Cambridge journals, which is free on the internet. Which is why they come out and expect to compete on the same level as all other students in the world, but because of technology, they have lagged back. I just want you to keep these things in our minds. It's technology that drives businesses. I'll give you an example. I did a research last year in 2014, and in 2014, there were about 36 companies on the Ghana Stock Exchange. If you combine their worth together, they're worth about $22 billion. And each of those companies have existed for about 32 years each. 36 companies, 32 years of life each. Their total worth is $22 billion. Now let me show you what technology can do. Between two people who develop WhatsApp, which you use, over 5 years, that is worth $19 billion. That $19 billion, not even the cocoa we export can bring about that amount of money in 5 years. In 2003 alone, we lost about $1.6 billion as a result of price fluctuations in cocoa prices. So we're probably talking about 10 years of exporting cocoa to arrive at what WhatsApp got in 5 years. That's the power of technology. That's where we need to be headed. It's technology that can take the Kosovo Dam that was built for only 6.5 million people. It's technology that can use that water resource and combine it with solar energy and combine it with other forms of energy and be able to cater for 26 billion people. That is technology. And so I just want us to begin to think that perhaps we need to change something. Perhaps we need to figure out that development as we see it and as we were taught it to be is not just about building roads or building KVIPs. In the world we live in today, development is about the manufacture of brains. If we don't get that, we're not going to get anywhere. The UK, for example, just started an exercise in the last 2 years. I get fascinated about this project so much that I talk about it all the time. They started an exercise where they now, in fact, it's just been introduced this year term in schools, where children from the ages of 7 going upwards are being taught how to code computers, are being taught to program computers. And you know what that is going to do? It means that in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, you would have accountants like myself who know how to program computers. So we can write programs. I don't need to go and buy a program. You have doctors who can program. You have engineers who don't need anybody to write their own program because they can write it themselves. So you imagine where the UK will be 20 years from now. I could go on and on and on, but I will leave it there. But I think we need to figure out that development has changed. It's not about brick and mortar anymore. Development in the world we live in is about developing minds, and those minds develop our countries. It's happening everywhere else. Technology, it really is not that expensive. We've just got to decide this is the direction the world is going, and this is where we want to go as well. The truth is, ladies and gentlemen, whether you believe in technology or not, it exists. I Googled the word God on google.com the other day, and it brought me 1.6 billion results in 0.49 seconds. Then I Googled technology, and it brought me 8.9 billion results in 0.42 seconds. I'm not saying we need to replace technology with God or God with technology. That's not what I'm saying. I'm only saying that technology is real. It's what is driving the world today. But let me conclude by saying this before the food in your mouth gets bitter. We have a window of opportunity for Ghana, I think technology in the world today is presenting us with an opportunity. And I say it is, I think, the last opportunity we have. And I say this for many reasons. The world moved from an agrarian age where farming was the norm. That was a big thing at some point in the late 15th and 16th century. So any country that could develop its farming mechanisms ruled the world. Then it moved on to mass production. That was another big era. And we didn't partake in that era also. Now we are in the technology era. And I tell you what, if we don't partake in this era, if we don't take this opportunity to use technology to leverage us and move us from where we ought to be, or where we are now to where we ought to be, and bypass all the deficiencies we have in our educational systems, the deficiencies we have in our infrastructure, if we don't take that opportunity, I can sadly guarantee you one thing, that we might as well wait for another 58 years to get anywhere. I don't know if I can do this alone, but I have made a vow to myself that my children must never come to the point where they ask me, Daddy, what did you do when you had a chance? And so I'm putting it out to all of us. We can make this happen if we decide that is what it is, and which is why I'm glad that, the government representation is here, and I just hope that something is taken away from this. God has already blessed our homeland, Ghana. I think He already has. And I think if we don't take what we have now and use it for anything else, we cannot at any point in the remaining future of this great country's life ever say God did not help us. God bless us all.